is my second to last video for 2023, which feels absolutely crazy. This has been a crazy year for me, a very busy year for me. And, sometimes we get so caught up in everything going on, the hustle and the bustle, all that. There's so much negativity out there in the world, and I know for a lot of you out there, the holidays are a tough time of year. So, sometimes it's easy to forget to notice the good things, appreciate the good things. So, I went out today and I wrote down 13 pieces of good news that happened in 2023 that you might have missed. And I just want to talk about it a little bit. Just to remind some of you out there, for whatever reason, that you might need it, that there are still good things happening, that there's still some positivity in the world, even though we're surrounded by all this negativity all the time, and sometimes things can feel overwhelming, that there's still things to look forward to, and there's still some good out there in the world. So, sit back, relax, pop in those headphones if you wanna, and let's talk about some good news. These are in no particular order, really just kind of the order I found them in. I don't have them divided up into different categories or like order of importance or anything. So the first one I found in October, the World Health Organization approved a new malaria vaccine, which is only the second ever vaccine approved for malaria. Malaria is a very deadly disease. It's a massive issue throughout parts of Africa. It causes, millions of deaths annually, spread through mosquitoes, primarily. And as opposed to the first malaria vaccine, which was approved, this one is extremely cheap. It is only $2 to $4 per dose, and apparently only about 3 doses a year will keep a person protected from malaria. So especially through Africa, where poverty is a big issue in some of those regions, $6 to $12 a year to be protected from malaria. The vaccine is apparently 75% effective in early testing, and they say it'll be ready for rollout by mid-2024. So hopefully that will be able to greatly reduce the amount of deaths that will occur due to malaria. The second piece of good news here, this one was a little bit vague, but I dug into it a little bit more. There were some pretty big breakthroughs this year with regards to research about dementia and Alzheimer's. There were more risk factors that were identified and strategies to mitigate and lessen the impact or development of Alzheimer's and dementia. Apparently a big one was that older people who experience hearing loss, they discovered that the use of a hearing aid actually reduces the likelihood of developing or worsening Alzheimer's and dementia. And they didn't really dive into the science behind it, but kind of what I thought was maybe it's because your brain is, is picking up more stimuli, you're hearing more things, keeps your brain stimulated and processing. So thanks to that, it's maybe a little bit more resilient against developing dementia, I'm not sure. They also said that living amongst green spaces, living in an area with lots of grass and trees, both slows the progression of Alzheimer's and dementia and reduces the likelihood of developing it. The Federal Drug Administration also approved a drug to slow the progression of Alzheimer's. So at this point, there's still not a cure, but a way to slow it down. The third piece of good news, the United Nations agreed to a treaty which expands the amount of ocean surface that is protected. So that means protected from things like oil drilling, from commercial fishing, from chemical dumping, things like that. So as of today, only 1.2% of the ocean's surface is protected. But this treaty, which was ratified by every single member of the United Nations, expands that to 30% of the ocean's surface being protected from commercial fishing, oil drilling, etc., etc. So, obviously the ocean health has been a big environmental topic over the last few years, especially fishing in and around the Southeast Asian area. There's a lot of overfishing in that region, so hopefully this will curb that a little bit. My fourth piece of news, sort of in a similar vein to the last one, the rate of deforestation in the Amazon rainforest dropped by 50%. I know a few years back it reached an all-time high in the rate of deforestation going on in the Amazon rainforest. It was a huge talking point on the news for a while. There's people saying, you need to put economic pressure on Brazil to get them to stop, cutting down trees in the rainforest. A lot of people call the Amazon rainforest the lungs of the earth. So a lot of people feel like, if that starts to go, the entire world will suffer, not just Brazil. In addition, thousands of illegal gold miners were driven out of the Amazon rainforest, which I didn't even realize there was gold in there. In addition to the drop of 50%, President Lula is committed to getting zero deforestation by the year of 2030. Not a single tree being cut down by 2030, which would probably be a good thing. Number 5 on my list of good news. 29 animal species in Australia have progressed out of threatened status. So the sort of, there's extinct, endangered, threatened, whatever. There's 29 species in Australia that have recovered their populations to no longer be considered threatened. That includes 15 species of mammals, 8 species of birds, 4 species of frogs, 1 species of reptile, and 1 species of fish. So that's some good news there. I'm talking about the United Kingdom. For the first time, renewable energy became the leading source of electricity in the United Kingdom in 2023. This year, 32.7% of all the electricity in the United Kingdom was generated by wind power, and 31.7% was generated by fossil fuels. So, still a lot done by fossil fuels there, about a third, but obviously great progress. 7. The University of Illinois found a way to speed up photosynthesis in plants, which resulted in a 20% increase in crop yields. So, if theoretically with a food supply, more mouths to feed, both your hunger rate should go down, and food should also theoretically become cheaper. If, a 20% yield, you imagine you get that out into corn and, whatever sort of staple crops, it becomes cheaper to feed cows. Beef gets cheaper, becomes cheaper to, anything you use corn for, anything you use wheat for. You think about the sort of butterfly effects of those crops becoming cheaper and there being more of them, and how that butterfly affects how to affect the entire food market. That's a massive breakthrough. And that's a 20% increase in yields, and this is their first success. You think theoretically that could go up even higher potentially. We have another scientific breakthrough here at number 8. Scientists in California found a way to put solar panels in orbit capable of sending electricity down to Earth 24/7. If you think about it, if it's up in orbit or up in space, the sun isn't up there. You don't have the day-night cycle in space. It's just, you can take the solar panel and put it into orbit in such a way that it's always facing the sun, and it's not dealing with the atmosphere and everything else blocking it. Now what I couldn't figure this out. I tried looking, but I don't know how they're sending the power back down, because it's saying it can constantly send the power back down to Earth, but there's obviously not going to be like a giant cable or something like that. So is it like a giant wireless charger, like, a wireless charger for your phone or something? Is it just like a large scale version of that? I don't know, but apparently it works. That's interesting. Number 9, the United Nations announced that the ozone will return to its pre-1980s state by the year 2040 in a report they published this year, 2023. So people don't really talk about the ozone thing much anymore, but I remember when I was a kid growing up, they're talking about how there's a hole in the ozone, and like for some reason, like they always blamed like hairspray. I don't even know if that was real, but they're saying it was like aerosols and stuff, and it put a hole in the ozone, and that was leading to like more people getting skin cancer or whatever, more radiation coming through. But so I think they banned a bunch of products and like chemicals that were contributing to that, like certain bug sprays and stuff like that were banned. But they announced that the ozone will return to its pre-1980s level by the year 2040. So that's good. So I don't know, theoretically, what skin cancer rates will go down. I don't know what sort of effects we'll feel from that, but I'm sure there'll be some sort of discernible difference, perhaps. Okay, number 10. More girls than ever are getting educated worldwide, so that's very good news. UNICEF reported that there were 50 million more young girls in school in 2023 compared to 2015. So from 8 years ago, 50 million more girls into the school system and, going through it, getting educated. It's great. Very good news. Going, no downsides there. Number 11. This one was kind of hard for me to find raw data about. And I don't know if this is compared to last year or something. I couldn't find like where this data is in comparison to, but in 2023, it was reported that the global homicide rate has fallen by 17%, with the biggest drops happening in Asia and Europe. In Asia, the homicide rate fell by more than 40%, and in Europe, the homicide rate fell by more than 70%. But the world is becoming a safer place overall, so that's always very good news. Especially if you're someone like me that loves to travel. Things becoming safer, that makes it a little bit easier for me to travel. Alright, second to last one. These last two here are both scientific breakthroughs that are both very interesting to me. This next one specifically, because I'm a big fan of cyberpunk, cybernetics, body hacking, body modding. I've always tinkered with the idea of getting some body modification, like, not like piercings, but like RFID chips, things like that put in my skin. British scientists made a breakthrough on a brain implant to restore limb movement in paralyzed people. I didn't see much more beyond that, but this is something that's always interested me. I did a college paper on this. We were talking about theoretically, like, what space travel could look like in the future, and I talked about how you could put yourself in cryonetic sleep, because they found this way to turn your blood into glass instead of ice. It's a whole big thing. You could do a whole video about that, but so you could theoretically be held in stasis for hundreds of years and be woken back up. At the time, I kind of talked about the Neuralink, the one that Elon Musk is working on, but that's been having some issues, so I don't think that'll be the breakthrough, but some sort of brain interface device to allow a human being to directly interface with the machine, whether that's a computer, an artificial intelligence, a robot, or something. Obviously, this is much different than that. This is restoring mobility in paralyzed people, which was something Neuralink talked about, but we have a lot of companies right now working in this space, and there's going to be so much money for R&D in this space. I think this is the next big breakthrough. The 2020s are going to be all about artificial intelligence. Personally, I feel like the tail end of the 2020s into the 2030s is going to be all about cybernetics, both in restoring things in paralyzed people and enhancing human experience and interfacing, enhancing the way the human body works and experiences the world. I'm not an expert, but that's just my opinion. The 2030s will be all about that. And finally, the 13th and final piece of good news that I have. In a massive breakthrough, German scientists completely cured a 53-year-old man of HIV. And this is their 5th successful total cure of an individual with HIV. Currently, 38.4 million people globally have the disease. So for the longest time, people thought that HIV was completely incurable. It was a lifelong disease. If you treat it, you can suppress it. If you don't treat it, it will eventually evolve, progress into AIDS, and you will unfortunately pass away. And it's a very big problem, especially through some of the poorer regions of the world. We see high rates of HIV and AIDS. But they now have completely cured 5 people, and they followed up with him. They tested him, and he showed no signs of the disease returning. Now, it's an extremely experimental and potentially dangerous procedure. I read a little bit about it. They basically completely replace the patient's immune system with a brand new one, which is basically unheard of. They get rid of all your white blood cells, all your, whatever they're called, like T cells, I think. They remove all of those from your body. They completely take away your body's natural defenses and immune system, and then give you a new one. They give you brand new white blood cells, brand new T cells, whatever. And that has successfully cured 5 people of HIV. Apparently it's super dangerous. I don't think they've had any negative outcomes yet, but if they can perfect that process, we could be looking at having HIV completely eradicated in the next decade or so, which is extremely good news. So, I hope you guys found this uplifting, positive, informative, interesting, and most importantly, relaxing. I hope that if you're watching this, you had a fantastic 2023. I know I did, and I hope that you have an even better 2024, so Happy New Year. My last video of the year, talking about my New Year's resolutions for next year, as well as seeing if I accomplished my New Year's resolutions from last year, will be going up on the 31st in Northern Hemisphere time. It'll be going up on the 1st for me here in Australia, but I schedule all my videos with North America in mind. In addition to that, in that video I will be talking about some big changes coming to my channel in 2024, some changes I will be making that'll all be going up in my next video, which, like I said, will be going up on the 31st. So thank you guys so much for watching this and every video that I put up this year. My channel has grown so much this year, and you guys have been such an amazing community. This year I've gotten so many comments, positive feedback, my Discord, I feel the love. It feels great, and I can't wait to just continue growing and doing even more of this into 2024. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you're a newcomer, just found this video, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. Until next time, guys. Bye bye.